Easy. The inspector is supposed to be here in about 4 hours. Hopefully, the guys hit water today that are drilling well. They got past the hard stuff yesterday, so today should be a pretty significant day, assuming things go the way that I want them to go. But I need to get the alleyway set up so when the inspector gets here, I can show him how the temporary alleyway is going to work. And then I have to take him all around the entire pen and show him everything that I've done. So here we go. You know, I'm a worrier by nature, and even though I've got a few hours before the inspector shows up here, I'm still worrying that there's something that he's going to call out that's going to stop everything in its tracks, and I'm not going to get the deer moved in the time frame that I want to get the deer moved. But I also know that action usually resolves this worry. The deer know that something is going on as well, and as much as I like to think that I'm in tune with what the deer are doing, they're pretty in tune with what I'm doing also, and they can see that there's something worth being curious about happening up here around the new alleyway. Little do the deer know that in less than 24 hours, they're going to be running up through this alleyway. Using the temporary panels that I built a few weeks back to connect the old deer pen with the new big deer pen looks like it's going to work out just fine. The only concern I have is around what the inspector's going to think about it. Well, the alleyway is officially done. I've still got a couple of hours before the inspector shows up, so I'm gonna turn the camera off and run up the hill and take the rake up to the far corner where the gate is way up there and just kind of smooth the dirt out a little bit. I moved some dirt around the other day when I had the excavator up there, and just go over everything, looking for anything that would draw his attention to, you know, anything that might need to be fixed. So I'm happy with how this turned out, this alleyway turned out, but I can see that when it snows, if I have to set this up again, which I'm going to have to, it's going to take some work. So I may put a little more thought into the best way to do this in the future. Really, the best way would be to bring some dirt in and level things off a little bit. But there's my favorite doe, 47. They're very curious animals. Whenever I'm up here working around, they come up here trying to figure out what I'm doing. Oh, 47. Tell them. Tell them. She can't wait to get up to the new deer pen, I'm sure. Well, that was a state inspector, and as you can see, I got a smile on my face. He said I can move the deer right now if I want to. I thought for sure that was going to be harder. I drove him around it. He said, "You're good to go." I'm excited. I'm going around closing all the gates. The inspector told me that if I want to, I can move the deer and I'm slightly hesitant to move the deer, and I'm not sure why. I guess because I feel like I'm going to lose a little bit of control over the deer once I turn them out up here, but that's what this is all about. I think I was expecting a little bit more resistance with the state inspection, but it went as good as it could have gone. I drove him around, took him through every gate. I showed him the alleyway, told him the alleyway was only going to be used a couple times a year. He commented on the dirt work that I had to do to get this pin done, and he said it looked great. He said, move the deer. So now I got to move the deer, but I don't want to for some reason. Cedar said to me, she goes, what are you going to do when the deer are in the front yard for you to go check on 12 times a day? And I guess I'm just going to have to come up here. I like seeing the deer. I like interacting with the deer almost every afternoon right now because we've got a bunch of wild apple trees around the place. I typically go down and pick up the green apples that fall on the ground, and I cut the apples into fourths and I feed the deer. But I know they're gonna love it up here, so I just got to get it done. Hi, Kitty. You guys ready? Let's go do it. Come on, dog. Come on, guys. Come on. Well, come on. Come on. Come on. Easy. The deer initially followed me up into the alleyway, but when it came time to actually go up into the deer pen, they turned around and ran away. So I'm going to grab some grain and see if they'll follow me into the big pen with a little bit of help. Come on. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I knew I was the problem, and as soon as I got out of the way, their curiosity would likely bring them up here into the new big deer pen. So I left. The deer were having fun for a minute, but they looked down and saw me coming back up towards the lower gates, and they tried to make a break for it, but I closed the gates before they could come back down. All 19 of our fallow deer are now in the new big deer pen. That's what we wanted. They're in the pen. Jeez, I'm freaking out. Look at them. All right, let's go lock the gates. Yeah, I don't need your help chasing deer. They're gone. Look at them. Deer aren't even anywhere to be seen. They're loose. Huh? It happened awful fast. Yeah, I know my camera's going. Keep wheeling there, please. I want to run up and check all 3 gates and make sure they're locked again so I can sleep good tonight, but the deer are running back and forth having a great time so far. You know, that's a glorious thing right there. You know, when they stand in those pens like that, their feet get really long, and it's not good for them. It's not good for the way they walk. And the very first thing those guys did was they were doing wind sprints back and forth across the fence. And they're eating a lot of the maple leaves. They love the green maple leaves at the bottoms of the trees. There's just so much for them to do. Makes me happy. Kind of irritates me that I didn't get this done sooner. It's going to be fun to watch them. They should literally physically change. Their bodies should get more muscle mass. I'm going to drag their feeder up there to them, and I'm going to put a bale of hay in there, but I'll bet money they don't even touch it. I'm going to continue to grain them at that far corner every morning like I always do, just so I maintain that bond with them on some level. But yeah, they're gonna, I didn't think they'd go up high right away. And the very first thing they did is they hoofed it right up the hill, but they were all out of breath. So it's gonna take them a minute to get used to moving around, but this is exactly what they needed. They're just having fun. They're all having fun, which means I'm having fun. Now we just need to get the well finished up, and everything will be square at Red Poppy Ranch. Since the alleyway will no longer be needed for at least a couple of months, and since this is a pathway I use on a regular basis, it's time to take down the temporary alley. You know, I think this is the grown-up version of what do my kids play, Roblox or Minecraft or whatever. It feels like a beautiful end to a lot of hard work. You know, you do things the best that you can with the skills that you have, and you do it with good intentions, and it usually works out the way it's supposed to. So the deer just having the time of their life, just running around everywhere, eating everything, eating all the weeds. I just saw a couple of the deer going up by the water tank. I think I'm going to have to go and put a little fence around that water tank because I haven't put the siding on that water tank. And they like to play around with plastic for some reason, although they have so much to do. I can't imagine that plastic's going to interest them as long as there's, you know, trees. Here they come right here, coming down the hill. Gates closed. They're having a good time. They're going to sleep good tonight, and I'm going to sleep good tonight. By the way, have I ever told you what my very first job I ever had, other than working for my grandpa? The very first job I ever had was working at a pet shop, Puppy Love Pet Shop. I've always kind of had a thing with animals. Matter of fact, I get along better with animals than I do with people. Back, prickly pears are blooming. With a bunch of empty beer cans and an old loose mineral sack. Give you some idea where you're at. Cypress Hills and the big country below where life is still. There's a little baby I ear tagged yesterday right along there with his mom, so they're doing good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There they are. Where's the rest of you? Well, to me, this is about as good of an ending as I could ask for. They figured out where the water's at. This is where I'm going to come and grain them every day. They're a little wound up right now, but that's fine. There's still 7 or 8 of them are off wandering around somewhere, but they're staying together for the most part. They're starting to figure out where the boundaries are, how far they can go up the hill. They're going to pick up the burrs and the different things that are growing in the weeds as they're running through the grass and different things, but they're already eating the weeds that I hoped they would eat. So it's going to be fun to watch how this kind of turns this pasture into hopefully a really beautiful pasture. That's my long-term goal. But there they go up the side of the hill. There's 47. Well, it's taken me over 2 years for this day to come to pass. And sometimes change can make me a little bit nervous. I don't like the idea that I'm not going to be able to see the deer in a little 1-acre pen as often as I usually do, but that just means I'm going to have to come up here on the mountain and spend more time hiking around up here in this big pen to make sure the deer are all doing okay. And I can think of worse things to do with my day. There's still a lot of work I'm going to do on the inside of the deer pen. On the upper end of the deer pen, I still need to thin some more trees and stack up some more firewood. But this is all stuff I can do with the deer in the pen. I'm still going to try and add 2 more water tanks to our water system while the weather's still hanging on. So I'll constantly be up here interacting with the deer. I'm thinking pretty seriously about building a tree house with a rope bridge on one of the steep sides of the deer pen, but I don't know if I'm going to get to that this year. I want to get back to the wood shop and get back to the 8-sided cabin and get a few other things finished up around the house. Maybe I'll really try and make my wife happy and get the stain finished.
Just remind me of the old days? We climbing in your dad's old Ford. What year was it? 85? No,
1980.
My car was a Ford, 1985 Ford.
We thought we would come outside and try and find a quiet place where we don't have kids or dogs or chickens or deer or cats or whatever chasing us around. Rooster. And simply just express our gratitude for a lot of the really positive comments on last Sunday's video.
We had a lot of emails, a lot of private messages, and there's a lot of you guys cheering us on, and a lot of you that have been around for a long time, and we're just super grateful. Grateful that you spend your time with us when you could be doing and listening to other things, but we're grateful for you.
Yeah. Sometimes life isn't maybe as pretty as it seems to be, and I don't usually get too deep on our videos. Maybe I should do that a little bit more often, because I think there's a lot of people that we're all dealing with something right now.
Yeah, a lot of emails of people that are dealing with some hard things like this. Sometimes life throws us challenges that we're not ready for, and it's good to talk about them. It's good to express yourself, to let things go.
Yeah, good to figure out how to make the best of the situation.
And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to listen to the nitty-gritty stuff that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I always struggle with how to talk about where I came from, but it's my story. It may not be, my intentions were not to try and act like I came from some deep, dark place. Although, we all come from somewhere. We all have our stories of challenges, especially as we're growing up. And
you definitely didn't mean to come across and hurt people's feelings, though, either.
No, not really.
It was...
Not really, yeah, but again, I wasn't, I cling to whatever it is that I am at this moment in my life. I try to be as honest and as truthful about everything that I do, because life has shown me very clearly that that's the right thing to do. But it's also hard to.
But also, these things that have happened in your life have made you to who you are today.
Most certainly,
and have driven you to get things done and to.
Yeah.
Keep pushing forward.
I feel like rather than being a victim, or rather than acting like a victim, that it's always better to figure out how to take these experiences and use them as fuel in the gas tank, and use them as motivation. And I hate the word trauma and what that word has been turned into, but I feel like properly managed trauma can be your superpower. And I really believe that. And so, anyway, we're grateful for all the positive comments. We're grateful for all you guys that have stuck around and been around for so long. We're grateful to be done with this deer pin. Thank heavens. I keep looking up on the hill, checking on the deer, and they're moving around, having the time of their life. And it's going to be fun to kind of watch their own transformation and watch what they do to the hillside. But we've got some pretty exciting stuff around the corner with this new well. We're not finished with the well yet. We're
super grateful for all those who have supported us through all of this and have cheered us on, and I feel like you guys are generally just as excited to get the well done and drilled as we are. So yeah, that's kind of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing our best to turn this into a positive, and I think we're being rewarded for that through this process. Hopefully in a week or so, we'll have an update on what's going on with the well. And from where we're sitting, it's a lot of positive stuff at this point. So regardless of what's being thrown at you, there's always a way to make it a positive, in my opinion. And
we're going off the theme that water is life. I mean, you can't survive without water.
Yeah, we got to have water. And I think it's going to work out really well. I think this new system, the way I'm going to tie things in, I think it's going to work out better, because I'm going to make it better, because I really don't have a choice other than to make it better. So
and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for all the kind, positive, uplifting comments, stories. We all come from somewhere, and some of us, it's not as pretty as other. In my opinion, I would rather hang out with the colorful people, because they're the ones with the stories. The people that I've met in my past that don't have stories, there's nothing to talk about.
We all got stories.
We all got stories. And so don't be afraid of who you are, but try to figure out how to make, not let it be a boat anchor, but let it be rocket fuel. Thank you guys.
Did you make that up yourself?
Every once in a while I get a hold of one.
That's pretty good.
Use
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts from a shallow mind. Thank you guys.
Okay, so we're going to the Bahamas next, or
Sure, we'll sit right here and pretend we'll get a green screen and get some.
we can go to Bear Lake. Is that our Bahamas?
That's as close as we're gonna get to the Bahamas. We got a nice storm trying to come in, so we'll go sit on the front porch and enjoy the weather. But
Yeah,
thanks
much
again.
needed rain.